Well, it's a lot of work to activate.
My God, I'm going to kill myself. Okay. Start recording.
I think you should after this. Perfect solution.
Oh my God. The mic is not running fast enough to record the video from this call. The recording rate will be lowered to compensate.
The what will be lowered?
You can suck my clit. All right. I like how it started recording when I said I'm going to fucking kill myself.
I like that too.
Just for people that are watching this, it doesn't mean I'm actually going to do it. I just say that due to any minor inconvenience. You know, that's just how my generation is.
Minor inconveniences call for suicide sometimes. I get it. You just gotta get over it. Gotta be done. Move on.
Oh God, some people will be like, that's so insensitive. It's kind of like, well, I mean, somebody who actually has been suicidal, I think I'm allowed to joke about it, you know? It's kind of like...
I've been there myself. Not weird. I know that is weird. Joking about it.
At least we can joke about it now. It's healthy. We can joke.
But, you know, I do love inappropriate. It's my favorite thing. So just a little bit of inappropriateness in the beginning of our video.
Yeah.
Which is to be about, what are we talking about and who are we talking to?
Okay, we're talking, there's 3 different things going on right now, and I'm being pulled in 3 different directions. It's a 3-way right now. It's really great. I guess with me it's a 4-way. Anyway, also, before we start, we haven't done a video in fucking ever, and I didn't upload a video where I was going to explain why. Why? Because we simply just didn't fucking feel like it, and Stardust is a hobby for me, so I'm just, it's not a business, even though we'll like make some money from the events, but it's just not a thing like that I feel like I have to do.
It's not paying the bills.
Right.
We love it, but it's not, yeah.
So I just didn't feel like it, and then when I wanted to start doing readings again, you had to get surgery. You had to get your appendix taken out.
I know, and I've been out of commission for a long time because before the whole belly thing happened, my eyes were fucked up. I had ulcers on my eyes, and I had an infection on top of that. So I couldn't, this is how I viewed the world. I'd be driving down the street with my eye, just one eye sort of open, just trying to make my way to the doctor appointment. It was like worse than driving drunk. I should not have been on that road, but I needed to
an Uber, girl.
Get help. I know I should have. I just, you know, you just cross your fingers and hope for the best that you don't murder anybody on the way. And I didn't. I made it out okay. But, you know, all of these health things I've been having, even if you were ready, which you said you were, I couldn't have done it. So we're both back and ready to go.
Yep. I guess our little summer break. That was our summer break.
There it was.
School's in session.
Right.
Anyway, so today I have Sam, my husband. For people don't know, because we got a lot of new subscribers. He is a Sarsar, which is an extraterrestrial being. A lot of people know them by the tall whites, which don't mix them up with other tall and white beings. They always get mixed up. But they are known to be as the tall whites. They have a base in Nevada, and they have a couple other bases on Earth. But anyway, this is Sam. And then we have Voltaire, my baby's daddy. And I have a huge crush on him. This is great. And then we have Jax. We have Jax here. He's one of our spirit buddies. And
he's an M6. I'm just going to throw it out there. Yeah. You guys can just decide if you want to play a little clue game. But anyway, Jax is here.
Jax is here. Jax. That's the name we're going with. For him.
Yep. He wanted a J because he wanted to be right sandwiched between K and H.
Yeah, so Jax.
So he wanted a J name.
It works out. Okay, so today the first thing we wanted to talk about was, it's such a stupid name we were talking about earlier, the Galactic Council thing going on. So the Sarsar are part of this, so many different names for it, the Galactic Council, people call it just the council. Some people call it like whatever the fuck. It's all the same thing, pretty much. But the Sarsar, Palladians, Mantid beings, sometimes Arcturians show up. There's like so many different species that are on this group. We'll call it the YMCA of aliens.
We're going to come up with something good with that. We're going to find a new acronym.
A new name. A new name that sounds less extreme and severe.
Less cartoony.
Yeah. Galactic Council. It sounds so... It sounds dumb. United Nations of Aliens. I don't know.
UNA?
United
Okay.
Aliens.
United UFA? United Federation of Aliens? I don't know. We'll get there. UFA.
UFA. I like that one. UFA.
UFA.
Anyway, so Sam had told me the other night what was really interesting is that they were not planning like they're actually going to do this, but it's just like they're theorizing about how to help humanity because a lot of them, they want to be more involved with us and they're getting impatient with how slow we're progressing. And personally, I find that kind of like selfish to be like, so what? We're taking slow. Who the fuck cares? Let us take our time, you know? But, because I know a lot of people watching this would disagree with me and be like, no, let them help us. But I can't totally be on board with that. Anyway, so they want to go to the powerhouses, like the main big power countries, and talk with their governments to help them develop like a more peaceful resolution with its people. So the government that's in charge, or it's supposed to be the people are in charge of its government, but it's really turned into the government's in charge of its people for a lot of countries. So they want to go down there and come down to us to help the governments become, I don't know, more peaceful so that there's not as much uprisings. People live more peacefully and are happy rather than feeling like they're controlled. And because what they're seeing is, there's going to be a lot of uprisings and a lot of violence that'll happen, and they want to avoid that because it could damage the earth as well. Whatever wars break out. And Sam's saying it has happened already, with wars before. Anything that happens on the planet can impact it negatively.
And you and I went back and forth a little bit about, the pros and cons of this, and you're on the fence. Part of you says, yes, let's be friends. And the other part says,
well, not really that we can't be friends. I have no contact with them. I think they can help on a more individual level. And that's what they have been doing. They just, any human that's willing to open up to contact with extraterrestrials have been contacted and do work with them. Maybe if they're not even conscious of it. I think that they should stick with that because it's up to the individual whether or not they want to receive that help. And Sam is getting defensive, and he's saying it's not that we're going to force ourselves onto these governments, it's just that we'll come to give them advice if they are willing to listen to it, and if they take it or not, that's up to them. But we're not going to come in and control how they're going to resolve this with its people. And he's saying, and this is happening all over the world, he's like, it feels like you guys are at an impasse where you're coming to a point and we want to help with that fork in the road for your species.
Okay.
He said
I'm all for that kind of intervention because it's optional still. And I still don't think that even with that kind of help that the movement would be it might be just a little shove, like when you drop the quarters in those machines and, I feel like that's be a quarter dropping in and maybe a bunch more will fall down, but the whole load isn't going to go. I feel like it's going to speed it up a little bit, but I also understand because I've had all kinds of readings. Fairy Girl tells me plenty of times, I'm not going to tell you yet because you need to experience this on your own.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of where you're coming from.
Yeah. So part of me, half of me, I'm going to call it my human self, is all on board with this concept because, me being human here on Earth, I want to be able to live my life as freely as I can. I don't like that I have to work a job that I don't like because I have to pay bills. I'm a slave to money. And I don't like that I am. I just want to focus on my passions. I don't want to feel controlled by anything, and that's where we're at right now. And maybe we have a sense of freedom, but we also don't at the same time. And so as a human being, yes, I want it, but there's this other version of me, this, I guess you could say the higher self version of me is a little hesitant because I'm thinking, okay, you have it's more of an ethical thing for me. You have to let us as a species get where we need to go. It's not about the end result of the lesson. If you were to know the lesson already and not experience all the bullshit that led up to the lesson, it entirely defeats the fucking purpose. Like, we don't mature. It's about the maturity. We mature emotionally, we mature mentally and spiritually as people when we experience the bullshit that comes along with the lesson, or else it's just completely pointless. And so there's part of me that just disagrees but also agrees, so it's kind of like whatever happens.
I get that. And you sound just like Fairy Girl, because she's like, all this shit you went through wasn't for the prize you're waiting at the end. It's for the lesson that you went through. It's for the growth that took place in this part. It's not this part. So you're right on with that. Fuck that. Just kidding.
I know. My human self's like, fuck that shit. Just give me the fucking lesson. Just tell me what the answer is so I don't have to go through it. But you don't fully understand and engross the answer until you went through the bullshit.
That is the truth. Even when I know the answer, I still have to go through it.
It's like when you're doing math problems and you already know the answer, but you have to show your work. It's that. It's that.
No calculators allowed, my friends.
Yeah. So, Sam's laughing. He's like, that's a good one. It's a good metaphor.
All right. Well, we know our perspectives and we know Sam's. What does Spirit say? Who wants to answer, Voltaire or Jax?
Both. Who wants to go first? Jax like, Voltaire can have the floor. I'm going to accidentally say his real name, I swear.
Okay.
It's okay. Voltaire. He says, well, what I find interesting is that there is such a split view within one person. He's talking about me. But he said on a bigger scale, it's more than just about humans experiencing this. He said it's about the collective. So not only what happening to humans is affecting them, but it's affecting the extraterrestrials who are also involved, who have also made themselves involved. So the fact that they're not infiltrating, they're not pushing themselves. He's saying, like Sam had said, they said that they're just willing to give suggestions. You do not have to take them. Mm-hmm. He's like, whether or not the government will take them, most likely not. Voltaire's saying they most likely will not take it, but that's okay. He said that's all part of the journey, and they are part of our growth as humans, as humanity. Whether we like it or not, or whether we accept it or not, they're still part of our growth, and we are part of theirs as well. We're intertwined. Mm-hmm. We're much more intertwined than we think. He's saying that there's a lot of humans that consider themselves separate than extraterrestrials, both those who believe in their existence and both those who actually do believe in their existence and think of them as something of a higher power that's there to give them all the answers and all the healings and really hold their hand. That's not what they're there for. It's no different than somebody being in your life as a family or friend, and you both learn and grow off of each other. It's just like that. That friend, that family is not higher than you. You don't put them on that pedestal. Mm-hmm. But you are still learning and growing from them. So you need to he's saying that you're going to get to a point, he's going off on a different topic. You're going to take extraterrestrials off that pedestal that you've placed them on, that they're all-knowing beings, that they have all the answers, they have all the solutions. Because you're going to find humans becoming more frustrated with them, either because they feel that they're impeding on their will, their free will, or they're not impeding enough.
Yes, that's me. Give me more.
He's saying that they're not there for that. They don't have all the answers, and they know that it's ultimately up to the species itself.
Okay. That was a good point that, it was, sorry, Heather, but it's a very egocentric way of thinking that, they want to come tell us and fuck with our evolution.
I know.
But it's their evolution too. And so maybe that is their path. Maybe that helps them out. And we didn't even look at that. Oh.
Sam, what do you have to say? He says, that's all very valid points. We didn't even think about that how our evolution is affected by yours. And he said, and that could be very much true. It's so interesting. You like Voltaire's point of view? Yes. It makes him feel less guilty. I had made Sam feel guilty for wanting to help with our governments, I guess. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. I was just sharing, He said, I understand, but you were very upset. I was very livid about it because...
Were you? Ooh.
For some people that don't really know, and I don't really know how to explain this, I kind of jumped into this body when I was like 2.5 years old. I still remember the moment I jumped in. So I'm not a walk-in. It's a bit different than that because no other soul was in this body before me.
Yeah, you're just a zombie.
Yeah, I was just kind of like drifting around a little bit. Anyway, so I jumped into this body, but I was an Arcturian that jumped into this body. I am not an Arcturian. I'm human. Kind of bugs me. It's my own personal ego problem thing. I hate it when people say, well, I'm a Syrian or whatever. I'm like, no, honey.
No, you're a human.
You're a human.
You're human.
You're
and
human.
Once upon a time, you were all in God's source. And in between, you were a bunch of other things too. But right now, you're human.
Right. So I'm not going to say I'm Arcturian. I'm not. I'm clearly human. But there's an Arcturian version of me that just jumped in here.
Got it.
So that version of me is part of UFA. And that's the version of me I'm talking about that disagrees because I find it unethical. Because Arcturians, we really believe in not like a personal, like a directly interfering, like what is being suggested. Mm-hmm. At least I don't. And we're more about the individual or whoever is willing to listen. Mm-hmm. And I just can't agree with it. That part of me can't agree with me. My human self does. Anyway.
It's still just a little bit though. I mean, they may like, instead of taking to the one individual, maybe they're taking the whole classroom, but it's not the whole school yet. The little bits, and they still have a choice. I don't know. I'm not trying to sell you. You can feel however you want, but it doesn't feel good to feel uncomfortable with something.
Yeah. And Sam's saying, I understand that. I understand where I'm coming from. But he says that at the same time, what our thought process on it is that it's not that we're really frustrated or impatient. He said maybe just a little, but that's not what we're acting on. And
okay.
He said, and my wife is really interesting that she always makes you pause to reflect on your motives. Mm-hmm. She makes you really dig deep. And sometimes you'll find things about yourself you never really realized why you're acting the way you do. He's like, that's not our true motive, is to act on our impatience. Our motive is that we want to try and there is obviously something that's got to give.
Yeah.
In terms with your governments. And it's either because we fear human nature tends to react violently to such changes. It's just how you've always been. You've never really resolved things in a peaceful manner. And if it has happened, it's very rare. Mm-hmm. Nothing has ever truly been resolved through a conversation between your species at all. He said it always comes out into a war, some kind of violent, and that can damage the planet. So not only we're trying, it's really for us, the Sarsar personally, we see it as a way to help heal the planet, to help keep it from becoming further damaged. Because if war were to happen, you have such advanced technology.
Right.
It would
fuck some shit up.
Yeah. He's like, for other species, like the Palladians, they're more about the species itself that's being affected. Whereas he's talking about the Sarsar, are more affected, more in it to help the planet itself from getting damaged by any violence that may
and that
arise.
Benefits everybody.
Yes.
So that's truly valid. That's a totally legit reason to want to get that ball rolling. You go, Sam.
Yeah. And he says thank you. He says but it will also help with he's not saying this directly, but he said this to me last night. It's also going to help us get to a peaceful resolution quicker. We'll get there quicker, but at the same time, I'm thinking, is quicker better? Wouldn't it take away, don't you think it would take away from the lesson if we push through the experience faster?
Sometimes, but maybe you don't need the full depth of it. Maybe, the missing pieces of that lesson is a fair trade for bringing the peace to the whole planet.
And this is not going to solve everything. This is just one little thing. So what they're wanting to help with is not going to solve everything. It's just like to help make things less like we're in shackles, the people. Mm-hmm. It's control issues. It's power issues, Sam says. People want power. They want control. And that's just a lesson you're having to learn. You're also learning that about, I think, all of us as a species are also learning about different points of view. Mm-hmm. There's so many, it feels like everything's either drastically this way or that way. There's no middle ground. And I feel like it's important for us to be that way because you need to let the pendulum swing dramatically and then it'll slow down and meet somewhere in the middle. So this is all part of the growing pains. We'll get there eventually. Some people have been talking about that, how that's part of our evolution. It is. Mm-hmm. Every species has to go through that, and accept how realities work. Everyone has their own reality. You can't force others to see yours.
Right. Right. I agree with that. And so this stuff that you guys have been thinking about, these, I don't know what to call them, meetings or connections or whatever with the governments. This is something that you've recently been thinking about?
Yes.
Or,
yes,
okay.
Recently. It's what we're going to be talking about within the month. We're meeting with. And he's like, and I'm really excited that we're doing this conversation about this because it allows me to see the other points of view that humans would feel if we were to do this. Because just because we would want to do it doesn't mean all of humanity would want it, or at least the bulk of it.
Okay, well then,
not to impede or intrude.
I invite comments then directly to Sam so he can read them and you guys can get your opinions. I mean, he can get your opinions on that. Yes. And since we have the luxury of having spirit, I'm going to ask Jax if this change in direction or new focus, has it changed our timeline as far as speeding up a connection with the ETs?
No, if anything, it's going to help bring us closer together, feeling like we're on the same team.
Okay.
He's like, of course there's going to be some people who aren't going to like it. Why are you pointing at me? I said it's the other version of me. He's like, it's still a version. I feel like I always get picked on. Anyway, whenever I channel, I always get picked on. Anyway.
That's what you get for having your own opinions.
Yeah.
You're going to get challenged sometimes.
I know. It challenges my channeling, too. Because I'm like, why would I say that?
Yeah, that's true. I'm not going to have an opposing belief in my own brain. That's somebody else.
Yeah. Anyway. He wants to focus on something else. He wants to focus on that. He likes what we're talking about, the opposing beliefs, the opposing thoughts.
Okay.
He's like, everyone's so diversified when it comes to their thought processes. Mm-hmm. And humanity in itself is an ever-changing, ever-growing thing. It's like a plant that never stops growing. And that's just how every species is. And he said in parts of those plants, there's the individual cells, and they all look a little different, all a little bit unique, but they all make up the whole concept, the whole flower itself. So you guys are all sharing the same reality in that you're human, but the way you perceive the reality of being a human is different. You're going to eventually get to a point where you're no longer feeling the need that others have to share the same exact version of life as you. And it's becoming a hard concept right now because so many people have been, for thousands, millions, for as long as humans have existed, they've always been a unit. Mm-hmm. So you're slowly getting away between the us versus them. So before it was you, humanity versus everyone else.
Okay.
And then you started to develop tribes. And those tribes have become bigger over time. They've become countries. They've become continents.
Right.
Now it's turned into us versus them. And so it's anyone who's different than you. Anyone else who doesn't belong. He's like, it's not just countries. It's whoever doesn't belong to your religion. Anyone who doesn't share your same political viewpoints.
Yeah.
Us versus them, because you feel as though if you have the bigger party, you're the one who's winning. You're the one who's right because yours is bigger. More people agree with you, so that means you're right. But that's not always true. And people are slowly getting out of that viewpoint that just because you have more yeses doesn't mean that you're essentially right. You're going to get to a point where you're going to realize there is no right. There is no wrong. And I know a lot of people are going to fucking hate hearing that, but that's just the simple truth. All there is just what you think. And that doesn't mean it's the truth, but it's your truth.
Uh-oh.
What?
Wait.
What?
Did it stop recording?
No, it's still recording.
Okay. You froze for like 20 seconds. Okay, sorry. Okay, so yes, there is no right or wrong. There just is. That's where I kind of left off.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And, when talk about these, I'm going to deviate a little because of the reality things. Is it kind of true? Because, I totally get that we can have a different reality, but is one of the reasons for that difference, especially when they're so extremely different, is it because this truly is a hologram and we get to create and have
he's
spirit
like, it's
bring us these experiences?
He's saying it's not a hologram and that you're like an actual legitimate, like, fucking real ass hologram. You're not in a dome or any kind of game. Right. You are all making this up as we go along. We've set up these rules and how things can happen in this reality. And that's only because that's what makes the game fun. That's what he's like, think of it like a video game. It would be a boring ass fucking video game if you could complete the whole thing without any obstacles. You can do anything. Literally anything. You would just find the end and complete it without any problems. Now, is that a fun game? You wouldn't read a book that has no conflict in it. That's a boring book. So he's saying it's the same thing with life. You're fucking hating it now, but when you get on the other side, you're going to see how fucking amazing all that shit was. How amazing you are for doing it.
Okay.
But he's saying this is going to be the deconstruction of countries itself. The deconstruction of the whole idea that we're all separated from each other. We're slowly becoming one, and this is just part of the growing pains. And if extraterrestrials want to fucking help with that, then let them. You know, fuck it. They're all part of it too. They've been through it. They know how to get there. So just accept their advice. You don't have to fucking take it if you don't want to. You know, that's up to you.
Hear him out. Hear him out. Okay. He sounds just like him. You go, Jax.
But what do you mean by deconstruction of countries? He's like, the whole concept is going to be gone. There's some people who are fighting against that. So building the wall. You want to build those borders. You want to make them stronger, but they don't actually exist. And they're eventually just going to break down. He's like, not to get all political, but just this is all around the globe. It's not just the United States. Okay. The concept of countries, the concept of tribes, the concept of everything is going to diminish and everything's going to become one. And some people are fighting against that. Some people find that wrong. Some people like their individuality. They like being part of something that's unique. And that comes from, I don't agree with that, but okay. It comes from a selfish place. I don't like that. That sounds bad.
Why?
I don't know. But
a selfish place of wanting to be individual?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
He's like, because he's like, everyone is unique. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact, but you're using it as a way to build yourself up above others, to give yourself a one-up. That's when it becomes selfish. Okay. Your motives behind it. He's like, listen to your own self, Heather. Your motives behind wanting to be unique and individual. Find that reasoning for why you want to feel that way. Because you're already unique in and of itself, but that doesn't mean you're separated from everything else, from all that is. Just because he's like, take for example, oh God, I don't like these examples. You're going to make me uncomfortable. He's like, say you're a Mexican and you come across come across a Republican who strongly believes you should be locked up, you should be pushed out of the country. You know, you feel like you're part of, you know, it's like for the Republican, he feels like he's right, he's unique, he's building himself up because he believes in all of this. He thinks he's part of this individual tribe, this group that all believes in this. That comes from selfishness. Whereas the Mexican as well feels like they're really taking that part of, I don't fucking like this. He's really taking part of this, they are proudly Mexican. They're proudly part of their heritage, and that's not wrong. But it's still carrying towards, I don't like it. Us versus them.
Okay, yeah.
They're, even though it's not just about them individually, it's about the individual group. He's like, does that make sense? You know, they're part of this tribe, we'll call it this country. They're proudly Mexican, but it's still like they're separating themselves from everybody else.
Okay. And
he's like, I'm just giving an example.
Don't be intimidated by that, because I don't know about Republicans or any of the other things. So it just really sounded like a generic example to me. Okay. Don't anybody give her any shit, because this isn't even her words. It's Jax. So there, it was just an example. But I don't want you to be afraid to publish this, because it was just a legit reason way to explain it.
He's like, but soon, and what's catering to that is the whole us versus them thing. You know, it's both, it takes two to tango. He's saying it's not just one that's the perpetrator and the other isn't. There's really, and he said, but those are human constructs. There has to be a perpetrator. There has to be someone to blame. in the grand scheme of things, when you look at things from a spirit perspective, there's really nobody at fault. This is all part of the growing pain. This is part of the journey, it's part of the experience to get to that lesson. And what would help with appeasing all the pain is people want to justify the way they're experiencing their lessons. They want to say, like, let's say, for instance, that, you can't just come into this country illegally. This is why I feel that way. This is why I am justifying my lesson, my experience.
Right.
He's like, notice I'm not saying viewpoint. It's my experience. Because that's their reality. And then whereas Mexicans feel they're being victimized, they're the ones who are the victims in the situation. That's their experience. That's part of their lesson, their growth, and we're all playing a part. It's not about the individual participating. Not only is it about their individual experience, but it's also about the energy it's creating.
Okay.
And the energy that it's creating is that the whole pull between the polarized thoughts between us versus them and how it's slowly diminishing. It's like you have to build it up to this shit storm, let the shit storm go through, and then you'll eventually hit a point, because this is how humans fucking function.
Yeah.
You have to get to this point where people are going to get fucking sick and tired of all the separation, not just with what's happening between, the United States and immigrants that want to come through. But he's saying maybe I should have said just some people in the United States instead of fingering someone out, because he's saying some people really identify with being Republican and don't agree with what's going on. He's like, I'm not talking about you guys. There's nobody at fault. There's no one wrong. But he's saying that it's a whole shitstorm that needs to start brewing, and it is brewing. It's slowly coming up. It's like that hurricane that's going to come through. You see it coming through, and you're trying to get ready for it. And he's saying that then something's going to give. People are going to be tired of the separation. This is all part of it. So everyone's participating in this experience. So not only they're having their own individual experiences that they're learning off of, but they're also participating in the grand scheme of things, which is also going to help perpetuate us getting to the end point that we're not separated. We're all one, because everyone's going to be tired of it and want to move towards oneness rather than separation, and get rid of the concept of borders and countries and start feeling more like everyone belongs everywhere on Earth. Doesn't matter where you grow up, where you live, where you're born.
And he put this in this, this current event in our countries, but it can totally be applied to the bigger picture, the separation of the other species and stuff. So that was a good way to tie it down. And let me ask you, now, I know I claim all the time to be ignorant about such things, and I actually got into like a little debate with Voltaire one time, and I can't remember what the thing was, but I kind of just shut down and I said, that's not my thing, I don't care. And he's like, well, you should care, it's your world, or whatever it was, and I'm like, well, I have my own cause. So because I'm not like it's not a focus to me, I'm just going to go with the border thing. I'm going to call it the border thing because I don't follow it. Does that just simply mean that, I don't know, I guess many people will often feel like I should do something about that, but I don't know what to do. Doesn't excite me that much because there's so many tragic things that happen in this world. But is it a fair statement to say that when I came into this world, I chose to not make that part of my plan? And so I don't need to focus on that, and I don't need to feel any kind of anything. He
says, yes, there's some people, you follow where your passions take you because that's where you're guided to go. That's where you're meant to go. There's some people that feel passionate about it. And just because you don't, doesn't mean you're wrong for not feeling passionate enough about it. There's plenty of people, there's enough people feeling passionate about it, enough people doing what they want, enough people, participating in it. He's saying it's important to spread out your passions so that, he's like, some people feel like, how can you not care about this? This is wrong, you're part of the problem if you're not participating in it, if you're not caring enough. He's saying that's fucking bullshit, because if everybody was just focused on one thing, everything else would get ignored. He's like, everything else is just as important. So is your thing. Just because somebody has their focus somewhere else doesn't mean they're not recognizing what you're doing. He's like, and this is not just about a board thing. This could just be about anything. You're not participating in giving money towards cancer treatments or finding the cure or eating meat.
The meat. Yeah, okay. So I like that, and that's kind of how I felt. But I wanted his perspective too. That you find your passion, and you do because you know you're going to do the most benefit from something you
And
care
he said,
about.
and you can also apply this to collective form of thinking. You're all part of collective, so go where your passions take you because it's going to balance itself out.
Okay.
The fact that there's an imbalance right now is because people are pushing others to stick within their reality. Again, you are forcing people to stick within your perceived idea of how things should be, your reality, your perception. And it's no different than forcing somebody to believe in your religion. It's no different than someone forcing you to believe in your political views. You know, he's saying it's all the same thing, but it's because it deals with something that's deemed as, you know, empathetic to care towards, you know, giving to a cause. You know, you're seen as it's okay to judge someone who doesn't, even though it's still judging. It's still judgment. Yeah. He's quiet now.
Do you want me? I mean, we can go on and on. I can totally go on a big old tangent on that, but I think I'm going to jump into the questions for Sammy Day and whoever else.
I hope this doesn't make anyone mad because it made me really uncomfortable to channel that his examples. That really.
Well, you know,
because I care about what's going on with that, and I didn't like that because being Native. Let me just share my side because maybe it'll keep people from attacking me.
Yes,
I'm Native American. And I'm very proud to be Native. I'm very proud of my tribe. I'm very proud to be part of that. But I also know, I understand that it does cater towards the whole us versus them. You know, you build yourself up in a way. And he's saying that it's okay to be proud of your tribe. So Eric's trying to correct me, saying it's okay to be proud of part of your tribe.
Jax.
Shit! Shit! I fucked up.
Keep going.
Ah, fuck my ass. All right. So anyway,
I'm taking that one, but I'm going to use it in the bedroom. I'm just kidding.
Oh no. So Jax, he's laughing. He needs a minute. He's laughing. He's saying that you just need to look at why you're proud of being Native. There's people that are proud to be Native, but they still feel they're part of the collective. Just because they have their own individuality doesn't mean that they're separating themselves. There's a difference. And right now, humans don't really quite understand that they can be one and the same. They see it as something that's one or the other. And you see that in the spiritual community, where some people are really like, we're all one, you know, there's no such thing as race, and it's gotten to the point that they come off as being racist, but they're using that whole idea. He's like, see, I'm using something you feel comfortable with. Me. Talking to me. Okay. He says that they have gotten to the point where they just completely want to push past the fact that these people, these groups of people, you know, whether black, brown, purple, orange, whatever, have been oppressed. It's like they want to skip that. They want to jump over it and be like, there's nothing, we're all one already. Just get over it. You know, there's no such thing as being racist. And they've gotten to the point that there is cultural appropriation happening in spiritual communities. But that comes, you must see their point of view, where they're coming from. They're building themselves up as an individual, but in a way that's kind of egocentric, because they're like, we're already at this point where we're all one. And if you can't see that, then you're not at our level yet.
Right, I don't like that shit at all. However, you touched on... Oh, go.
Sorry, but he's saying, but at the same time, it can happen on the other side as well. People who are part of these oppressed cultures, he's like, I'll just use oppressed cultures just to not step on anybody's toes. He's pointing at me. God damn it. He said these oppressed cultures also sometimes, not all of them, just like some people in spiritual communities aren't like this either. Mm-hmm. Some of them use it to make them feel different in an egocentric way. Like, I'm part of this tribe. Only I should know about this stuff. Only I can, know about.
That sounds very much like you. Yeah. And I'm gonna argue with you a little bit, because I could easily see myself walking down the street and finding a feather and sticking it in my hair and saying, "Look, I'm an Indian." But that would be so very offensive to you.
It would.
Yes, and I feel like if somebody's doing this out of just like an act of innocence, and even if I saw your meme too about dressing up for Halloween or something. If I dressed up for Halloween, to me, I feel like I would be honoring, just in general, Native cultures. I wouldn't, mean to be disrespectful whatsoever. I mean, some people dress up like serial killers. That seems pretty morbid too. But it's Halloween; the rules are different. But and I don't know if we said it today or not, but quit focusing on the problem and focus on the solution. In our spiritual world, we totally understand that we can keep on, reminding the world of all the shit that went down. And I understand that there is some value in that if it's still happening. But there's much to be said about raising that culture up and, posting of the beautiful things that's going on in that and having a positive thing. And when I see the negative posts from you, it makes me feel like she's choosing to suffer and be hurt by this when she doesn't necessarily need to. And I think you're doing it as a way to honor it. But I don't know if it's making a change or not,
Eric's saying it's not, but I also like to share about my culture so other people can participate it without being disrespectful. And I think that's important.
But disrespect is your filter.
Yeah.
Because me dressing up like a Native American or using the feather that I didn't earn, to me, that's not disrespectful. That's
it was gifted to you, so I guess in a way it is earned. Your feathers, like in my tribe, though, we believe your feathers have to be earned through a vision quest or gifted to you from a friend.
But even still, if it wasn't though, and I went around with my feather, it makes me feel sad that somebody else would take pains from that because I didn't mean to be offensive. And I feel like you could easily just write it off and say, oh, she doesn't know any better. I know her heart's in the right place. And I think you probably do feel like that in many ways.
I do.
And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I don't want people to feel hurt and slighted by other people when we are insensitive, because many times our insensitivity comes from just lack of knowledge and not wanting to be a dick.
Right.
And I don't want you to hurt because somebody's inadvertently being a dick about it. I don't care about anybody else, but I love you and I don't want your feelers to be hurt.
Well,
I sit here and accuse you of all this shit. I'm just kidding.
Well, fucking true. I mean, I own my shit. It's fucking true.
Yes. And I'm so grateful to that, because we're going to talk about you in a different video on silver linings, but I really appreciate that you have the maturity and the understanding that I'm not attacking you, that you see it as a valid point. So kudos to you for seeing this. Keep going.
But yeah, I totally feel that way. And then I'm also aware of it. But at the same time, it's like, I also feel like it's more of like the anger. I feel that people aren't respecting it in a way that, not really that they, it's just like they want to glom over it. They want to like make Dreamcatchers, which is not a wrong thing. Let's just take that for example. They want to make Dreamcatchers. That's great. I love that you guys want to participate in that. That's so amazing. The spread and that it's still alive. The fact that that's still alive is great. But a lot of them, I'm not saying everybody, just a lot of people don't understand what it means to have a Dreamcatcher. They don't even tell the story right of what a Dreamcatcher is.
So what?
And it's
really, so like, what?
And I'm like, okay, so then it kind of takes away from what you're trying to do.
No, it
to
doesn't.
me, it does, because it's kind of like, well, the meaning behind it is to stop from it's not just bad dreams. It's not about dreams. It's about just keeping negative energy, negative entities away from you. It captures them in the web like a spider. And a lot of people say that it's just something for show. It's a decoration. It's not. And I'm like,
that should be okay with you. They're not being ugly about it. And, you get to have any way you want. You get to feel any way you want. But letting that go will be less irritating on you. Who wants to be
irritated? Don't want my culture, at least with my tribe, because every Native American tribe is different. So if you want to dress up like a Native American, it's like, well, which tribe? Because it's like its own individual country. It's like, I want to dress like Europe. Okay.
Right. I was just going to say that. I'll dress like a European.
Yeah. I'm like.
Okay. I mean, no disrespect to any European. I'm lumping you all together. But you know what, though? Part of it, I think, is just because it's time. If we desecrated the traditions of the time during Vlad the Impaler or whatever, 3,000, 5,000 years ago, nobody would care, but this is still close, and we still are connecting
and we're
with.
still healing from it.
Yeah,
it's a very fresh wound, and we have to recognize that the wound is there, and so many people just want to gloss over that and be like, oh, that was in the past, let's move on. And it's people that even are not even part of that culture. It's like, it's so easy for you to just want to move on from it. But we've been showing through, like, scientists have been able to prove that trauma does carry through genes. So I have the trauma of my ancestors in me. That's where my anger comes from. I'm feeling their anguish and all of that's happened to them. So it's so easy for somebody who isn't Native, doesn't have that genes, doesn't have that passed down trauma, to just completely just bypass it. And then it makes us feel bad, makes us feel less than, because we're not over it yet. Mm-hmm. It's not that we don't feel like we're one. It just feels like the fact that you're not recognizing it and you just want to gloss over it further proves we're not one. My pain's your pain. And vice versa. So
that's kind of true, because it pains me when you get hurt. So you're hurting me. Stop it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But
I sounded like a witch. My laugh.
But that is my true reason for ever caring about this particular thing, is because I'm like, no, my baby's being angry still.
Aww. Well,
but I get it. And, I understand that it's very much a part of you wanting to show honor and tribute and not gloss over all the shit that went down.
Right. And I want to share my culture with everybody so they can participate in it. I want to teach the way I was taught and things like that, because I think it's important that, it still carry on and be part of the collective. So, because there's some people that believe that only natives should be doing these things, and I just don't agree with that. I think it should be part of everybody's lives. But,
I'm gonna move on to our questions.
Yeah, we could totally move on.
We might have like a couple minutes left. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is a question for Volty. Volty, which of your philosophical ideas do you think are most relevant in the world today?
He says that's an interesting one. He said it depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about government? Are we talking about people itself?
Oh, you froze again.
Well, you're not frozen to me, and I'm the one recording. Oh, that means you can't.
Okay, no. Okay, it's back. Okay. So I don't know if you said anything, but I'm going to say government. People are all interested in government.
Okay. He said, let's focus on he said some big word, and I don't know what the fuck that was. Something with democracy.
Okay.
He said, I've always been a firm believer that democracy doesn't work when I was alive. Democracy wasn't something that was meant to be a fully functioning form of government relying solely on votes. There should be a balanced state between a monarchy and a form of democracy. Only because people can go corrupt. People itself are corrupt. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes the democracy corrupt. So the concept is not bad. It's just the people make it bad. And he says that I touch up on that. He's talking about how he works with me in my writing. He's like, I touch up on that in Heather's book. He's like, I put that thought in her head to put in the book. He said, but that was my thoughts today, is that there should be a separation of people should have more freedom. People should be free to live their lives. And the government should only be there to enforce laws for the safety of everybody. And it shouldn't be about maintaining order over every small aspect of everyone's lives. And he's like, some people would consider that, people call it like socialism or capitalism. He's like, both of those are terrible ideas, but there should be a balanced form of both. He's like, yes, because we've gotten to the point, he said, I think this is not really about my beliefs when I was alive. It's more beliefs now as a spirit. I think humanity should surpass the need of having to pay for their basic needs. It should just be something that's not even about socialism. He's like, take money out of it for a second. Money doesn't exist. In order for the species to grow and advance, you need to get to a point where they're no longer fighting for their survival. And we
Right.
still are, even though you live in fancy houses with lights, you got clothes, you got food, you're still fighting for that. You can lose that at any second. So you're constantly in a fight or flight mode, but it's a different kind of fight or flight mode now.
Mm-hmm.
And people will do things that are illegal in order to keep their basic comforts. And he said, and that's not how life should be lived.
Oh,
People should be free. And I've always felt that frustration of needing to make money because I only wanted to focus on my passion of writing.
right.
Which that is not a career you choose if you want to be a wealthy man.
Or woman.
Or woman. He said that, well, I was a man. Women didn't really have money. They got married into money. He says that I got lucky by winning the lottery when I was alive. But I cheated it. So I had to break the law in order to get my basic needs met. So I didn't have to fight for my survival.
Oh, I didn't know he was such a rebel. How interesting. You'll have to tell me later.
But he says that my belief is that humans should be free to pursue their passions, to pursue their life the way they want to live. Because I believe humans are innately pure and true of nature, but it's because of all of these rules and all of these confinements we place on ourselves that makes us corrupt. Because they're placed on us by corrupt individuals. So it makes us corrupt. Like, that is my belief on today's world. I think once you take all of that out, everyone will go where their passions are needed, and you'll find that everything will be stabled out as it needs to. You worry that people won't want to feel passionate about plumbing or taking care of the sewage or electricians. There are people that feel very passionate about working with those things. You shouldn't have to worry about it. Let people go where they want to go.
That's what I was saying earlier about not worrying about, the whatever. You go where your passion is. You find that position.
As a spirit, that's what I feel nowadays. When I was alive, because I was living in that world, it was a little different, but that's along the same lines.
Okay. Volty, I invite you to help my kid invent a new government. He's going to have his own government one day, he says. I'll ask him to ask you for some help. Okay, so this is somebody named Briar, and they also want to know what Sam's preferred or the Sarsar's preferred qualities in humans. What do you like about humans?
Sammy, are you still here? Oh, you left? Can you come back?
You're still talking to. Oh, you're not here? Okay, come back.
Come back.
It's funny.
Are you busy? I'm sorry if I bothered you. Okay. He's like, you're not bothering me.
Oh,
Carrie's bothering me.
What? Get out of here, Sammy.
So what was the question? What was the question?
The question was, what qualities in humans do the Sarsar find most endearing?
What do you find most endearing about humans?
About me in particular. Just kidding.
About Kari in particular. What do you like about us? He's saying our laughter.
Aww.
Your sense of humor and the way you laugh about things. He says, I find that most endearing, and I have learned, he said, only because I have learned so much from observing that. I can find the humor in, he didn't say this, but I didn't hear the word quite right. He said, in the dark parts of my life, I can find the humor in it and bring it to light.
Goes back to our opening statements today.
Yeah.
You know what? And when you tranced Avery for me and we had our little date and we were talking about you two, he said that that he really credits you with, bringing a sense of humor to Sam, and that, he's, I don't know, that you gave him that little kick.
Sam was very serious, always very proper, and he's uptight. I've loosened him up a bit. So.
Good girl. Okay, here's another.
God. Jax. Haha, I said his name right. He was talking about butt stuff. He's like, yep, loosened him up. Talking about butt sex or something. So gross.
This time he's talking to me. Okay, so Sammy J, what do you think about Volty these days?
He says, I think he's fine. Why?
Okay.
He's asking why. He's perfectly fine. I don't know the man. I never was a fan. I wasn't alive.
I guess maybe the person's asking if there's like a, this is my word, like a jealousy thing.
Is there a jealousy thing because I like Voltaire? No.
Okay.
No, he's dead. I'm alive. I have the one up. Voltaire saying you think you do.
See? You're starting
Sam's laughing. He's just laughing.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. I don't understand that question. I'm going to keep going. Okay, so here's one. Oh. Sam, what do the Sarsar think, or are you even aware of, and I don't follow this person, I don't follow anybody, but I know who it is, of Corey Good's predictions of a possible apocalypse in the next few years, something to do with the sun? I'll get the input from all three.
I don't.
Do you know who Corey Good is? I just know the name. I know he does
Kinda.
ET channeling stuff, but I don't
follow like the like I'll recognize the name.
Yeah.
Like I'll know the name just because everyone talks about them, but I don't know anything about them because I'm very self-absorbed. I only know from my experiences, and I don't care about anybody else's input.
There's a reason for that. And I asked Fairy Girl, I said, is it a fair statement that I have no interest in watching anybody else's videos or reading anybody else's channels in order to keep my filter pure? She says, that's exactly why you don't care. Yeah. So that's why, we don't want to be influenced. Our higher self.
I have heard that from other people that he says the Sarsar, he calls them the tall whites, are evil and bad, which I think is obviously is not fucking true. But I've had some people message me saying you shouldn't be talking to them because Kara Good says. I'm like, I don't fucking care who this guy is. I know my experiences. So whoever so and so said can go suck my clit.
So I'm going to answer for Sam and say we're not worried about Corey Good's predictions. We're going to be just fine. We got a long.
Sam, is there something going to go? Are Sam going? Are
we having an apocalypse?
Is the sun going to implode? No, your sun is nowhere near that age where it would implode. I don't think that's the question, though. That's what Sam's saying. I don't think that was the question.
An apocalypse.
Your sun will not destroy your planet if that's what you're asking.
Okay. I wonder, I do wonder where some people get that information. I mean, because it just,
maybe the solar flares would affect our technology. Maybe some people think of that as an apocalyptic scenario. So maybe that. But
I understand that, we're in infancy scientifically, but we're still pretty advanced and we might be able to predict the age of the sun or, some catastrophe,
we do.
So I don't understand who's giving this kind of information, but, that's okay. That's their reality. They can follow along that one if they choose to. And I'm not saying it's, Jax, what about this? How does information, is that two different realities or is that information just incorrect?
No, and it's not incorrect either. It's more of their perception on how they're perceiving that information that's coming to them. What do you perceive to be an apocalyptic scenario?
Okay.
The sun is not going to explode and destroy the planet. It's more along the lines of the way that the sun is going to be affecting, the flares from it is going to be affecting our technology.
Yeah, but we got the little cuties on our team, so we're okay.
We do. He's saying that it will affect it to some degree, but it's not going to be an apocalyptic scenario. He's like, you must give humans more props than that. We're much more resilient. We're much more adaptable to things than you think we are. And he's like, so don't focus on an apocalypse. I
won't even notice it.
Yeah, I'll be like, yeah, whatever.
The apocalypse happened yesterday. I didn't even know it.
I didn't get the memo. I mean, the only reason I would care if it's a zombie apocalypse, because then I'm not all on board.
You'd love it.
I'd be like, woo, let's party. It's like, I've been preparing for years. I know where to go. We're going to take over the Costco. I got a plan, Kari.
Right, you saw that meme. We got to put the treadmills around the outside.
Yeah. I was just looking at the treadmills.
So funny. Well, we went through our questions already. There were just a few of them. I know, huh?
Hold on. Let me look at them, too. I'll put them on my phone.
Well, some of them were just, comments.
Something to do with the sun. Oh, well, this was Sarah's question. I understand her question. She asked, does Sam accept that Voltaire is real now that I'm actually communicating with him? Well,
yeah.
Sam, do you accept him as real? Yes. Do you believe I channel him? Of course. Okay. And how do you feel about that? He says, I'm fine with it.
Sarah's trying to get some trouble going. I saw that little.
Is this representative of how the Star feel in general? Because he didn't think
Or
that too.
yes, or is Sam the only convert?
Sam's saying, I can't speak for my entire people because everybody has their own individual beliefs that I don't know about because I don't know everybody. He says, but for the most part, we believe that you can speak with spirit. Having romantic relationships with them, however, is a new concept to most of us. A lot of us don't know how to feel about it and think it's a rather weird human thing because we think humans is very highly sexual beings. So we're saying, of course, they're going to have sex with spirits.
You guys should try it.
You should try it sometime.
I want to hook Avery up with a spirit girl.
Sam said the only way I'd be interested in that is if it's a past life version of Heather.
Do it! Oh, I hooked up with Himoko. She was great. You try it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So, like, my higher self loves to flirt, right? Because I'm a flirt, too. And I remember one time she was showing herself, I don't know if she showed Sam this, but she made herself look like a Sarsar, that had beautiful. Really long, thick white hair and curves, like huge boobs and a nice little ass on her. And I'm like, and a tiny waist, kind of. Like tinier than mine, but definite hourglass figure going on. And Sam's smiling, he likes it. And
go get her.
And I'm like, why are you showing yourself like that? And she's saying, oh, because Sam would find this very sexual. I can go into his thoughts and know his deepest fantasies. And she's like, so does he like it? I'm like, I don't think he can see it. Sam's just saying, I wish I could.
Oh, poor Sam. I want to see it too.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that? Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that. He doesn't like to share that he can be a sexual being publicly to people.
I won't tell.
We won't tell anybody.
This video is full of dished secrets and inappropriate confessions and all that stuff.
Oh my God. I feel so worried though about the whole thing that Jax was his metaphor he was using. I don't
want you to worry. Because you didn't say anything controversial. You just said stuff that's going on in the world. It's actually happening.
Right.
So you didn't have opinions or anything else. It was just things that were happening.
Okay. And if it makes anyone upset, that wasn't my intention, and it wasn't even me saying it. So
you were very clear.
Yeah. It was me uncomfortable as well about it. So
and me clueless about it all as usual. I like to keep my filters clear.
I know.
All right. What do you think? I mean, we've gone for a long time. I'll keep going, but
no, I think we should stop here because then it'll make people bored.
Right.
It's already an hour and a half in. But we can talk about your Silver
Linings Live. I'll do it real quick because and if you publish this, are you going to try to do it today?
Yeah.
Or this weekend? Okay. Well, you have like another few days up until I extended my my date of my 17% discount because of my surgery, and I just couldn't get the word out quick enough. So you have until the 10th to get in on that, and I'm creating a poster. So you can get more information, but I'm sure, if you're following along, you've already seen some stuff. So I have a whole group of girls come and present. We got channeling, healing, all kinds of stuff, and some fun too. So this isn't like a big, old, huge convention where, you're being lectured by, people but still strangers. This is a small group of friends just hanging out and learning and growing off of each other. So I don't know. Just look around for that link.
Yeah, I like the informal part of that. I don't like to go to formal workshops or anything like that. It sounds boring.
Yeah, and I don't want to take up too much time talking about it because I got my own stuff going on. But, I'd really love to see you guys down there. Hermina's going to be there, and Jax and Voltaire wants to come. Mm-hmm. I'm just assuming Jax. I'll have Sammy J and Avery there too. I'm going to have the whole party. So I also have Denise and Sarah and Kari and Tiffany, and Nanette's going to come too.
Okay.
So... And Denise, did I say? I think I got us all in. So it's going to be a great time. It's going to be November 9th and 10th. And then Sarah's going to have something on the 9th for some Reiki if you're interested in getting some Reiki certification. All right. I'll leave it at that.
I also got some news.
What?
I'm doing readings more permanently now because I've been enjoying it. I'm not going to lie and say I'm doing it because I want to help save the world. It's because I want to pay my bills and be able to focus on my passions. And this allows me to have that flexibility more. Plus, being a substitute teacher, I'm not always guaranteed days where I'm going to find a job. So this helps to balance out those days where I don't have any work and I'm not making any money. And I already live way below the poverty line. So, I mean, it's not like I'm going to become wealthy and rich off of this stuff. That's not what I'm
Just paying the
for.
bills.
Just paying the bills with it. Also, I'm going to start making jewelry and Dreamcatchers. So you can look out for that stuff because I have to wait to get my seller's permit. I have to have a permit to be able to sell things.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm going to write you a review. If anybody's had a reading with Heather, go ahead and put it in the review. I know it was a great reading. I already know this. So do that. And then one more thing, when does I know that your ebook is already available, but I want that hard copy. So give me that information.
Shit, that's right. I'm a writer.
It's a published book. What the fuck?
Voltaire started laughing. He's like, with everything else going on, she forgets. Anyway, yeah, I have a book that came out. It's under my real name, though. It's called The Doctor's Estate. It's a horror book about this. I don't want to give away too much, but it's about a man named Ted. Sounds weird name. Ted. And he moves into this home in hopes to convert it into a safe home for his mother, who has Alzheimer's. And it ends up becoming this haunted house that just poisons him with these nightmares, and he gets all these bad visions and seeing all these spirits and stuff. And so he has to find a way to absolve that. And he ends up just questioning his sanity altogether. It's really great. I was really proud of myself for writing that. It's not my plot, not my story. I don't believe that you can get negative attachments unless you are having negative thoughts. Then those are the attachments to your own thoughts. That's just my whole thing, my old disclaimer. I don't believe in anything I wrote. But I write for entertainment, that one. It wasn't my plot. It was a producer in my town came to me and with the plot wanted me to write it. So
how do we buy it?
You can go, I'll put a link, but you can buy the Kindle version off Amazon. You can buy there's other versions of it available on ebook like Kobo and iBook and Google Reads or whatever the hell else. It's so confusing. It's just weird.
Well, if you come to Silver Linings or to the Stardust events, get your copy, then you can bring it and she will sign it with hearts and stars.
Yes, because the physical copy, the paperback version, is going to come out on the 17th of October.
Ting! 17.
17. Yeah, it's our lucky number, 17. So
that's right.
You can get a paperback copy if that's what you want. I'm also going to be putting up a promotion soon about that. Like the first 15 people that buy a paperback copy will get a free bookmark and a signed copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that bookmark. I'm going to get it.
So I haven't put up that promotion yet, but I'll put a link to where you can buy my book and stuff. And leave a review because honestly, this goes with any book you read. Reviews is what keeps the book going. So
everybody do that. Be disciplined. Find that link. Write the review. Do it for our girl because we love her and we want her to make lots of money.
I just want to live off my writing. I just want to make enough to be able to do that for my living only. So I have to start somewhere, and the reviews really help.
Okay. I'm on it.
All right.
All right, baby. I love you.
Love you too. Everyone else says bye. Sam already left. So, yeah.
All right. Bye, Volty. Bye, Jackson. Love you.
Says love you too.
Okay. Bye.